Good afternoon. This is the Chorus Call conference operator. Welcome and thank you for joining the A2A 2017 Results and Business Plan 2018 through 2022 conference call and webcast. As a reminder, all participants are in listen-only mode. After the presentation, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. Should anyone need assistance during the conference call, they may signal an operator by pressing star and 0 on their telephone. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Ms. Renata Bonfiglio, IR Manager of A2A. Please go ahead, madam.
Hello. Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to our conference call focused on 2018-2022 business plan that will be hosted by Valerio Camerano, CEO, and Andrea Crenna, CFO of A2A. The presentation is available via webcast on our company website, where you will also find different downloads for your analysis. The Q&A session is thereafter, and you can also send questions via web. I now leave the floor to Mr. Valerio Camerano.
Thank you, Renata. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for participating to our presentation on the A2A strategic plan. So, as Renata said, the presentation is available. So I will go straight forward to the page number 3. And for the sake of effectiveness of the presentation, we will skip almost entirely the description of figures of 2015 and 17. So we only focus on page 3, which is a global summary of the performance of 2017. The year was clearly an outstanding year for the company. We had a very positive CCG performance. With 80 million euros above last year. We had a very strong organic growth in the networks, in district heating and retail, and all these areas accounted for more than 60 million euros of increasing EBITDA. On gas margins also was a positive year, and we on the positive side we have also were able to fully consolidate the LGH standalone and all the other 13 M&A deals we performed in the last 2 years. On the negatives, we certainly had very poor hydro volumes. We had almost minus 40 million euros down from hydro. The feed-in tariff and green certificates, minus 30, and the San Filippo del Mela comparison with 2016 is negative for a difference of 8 million euros. And then in terms of EPCG, we are deconsolidating since July 2017 the effects of EPCG and also the put option effects. So that's pretty much regarding 2017. Of course, Andrea and myself will be happy to answer your questions in the questions and answers section. So I suggest to go directly to page 11. Okay, this is a brief summary of the last 3 years. We will be abandoning the 3D, 3Rs format this time, and we'll inaugurate a new format. So this is the last view we provide you backwards on the 3Rs, which were the basis of our strategy in the last 3 business plans. On the first R, relaunch, we increased our customer base on the free market by 560,000 customers. We increased significantly the treated waste, about 800 kilotons, and we increased by 200 million euros our regulated asset base as a result of the recovery of investments we were able to do in the last 3 years. We also had 3 years of interesting operating efficiency activity, thanks to the ENEA projects for 130 million euros. We completed, I said earlier, 14 M&A deals with an effect of in excess of 100 million euros of additional EBITDA, which includes, of course, the acquisition of LGH. On the second R, regeneration, we had a very big change in the fleet management. So from 2014 to today, we multiplied by 4 the production of the CCGTs. So our production in 2017 was in the region of 9 terawatt-hour compared to 2.3 in 2014. At the same time, we were able to benefit from a stable profitability. The volatility never was in excess of 10%. We started our PV platform, and we have also started our projects on the flexibility, new projects on flexibility like on reshape. We were first mover in consolidation of the energy efficiency sector. We have started our activity in smart city and continue to grow on the LED installed capacity in the last 3 years. So we believe we have delivered our strategic value from 2014 on. So if we move to page 14, we give you a very crisp view, this time regarding the financial value. We think we have delivered. So if you look at the EBITDA, up 18% from 2014, DPS up 61%, CapEx, we've been consistently investing more and more during the last 4 years for an increase of 60%. In terms of return, we're able to improve it from 7.8% to almost 12%, which basically means that we almost doubled our EBIT from 2014 to 2017. Same good news from leverage. We've been deleveraging constantly over the plan, and we're now minus 18% compared to the beginning of our first business plan, 2014. So we believe our industrial targets were achieved and the financial targets were overachieved. So let's move into the strategic plan. In page 16, very briefly, what are the 3 main industrial trends within which we conceive our business plan, our new strategic plan. Circular economy, we're assisting in Italy almost everywhere to a landfill phase out, which means that the market will become more and more stretched and short. At the same time, we have an acceleration in sorted collection and in material recovery. On energy transition, there are 2 factors that are characterizing the market: a decarbonization, progressive decarbonization, and the reduction of cost for photovoltaic and wind. The last trend, which we consider remarkable in crafting our strategy, is smart solutions. So we believe that we will assist more and more at the energy efficiency, smart services, and green mobility increase of the plan. So we're placing our strategy within what we call a sort of scarcity strategy. Our strategy is actually working within a frame of increasing scarcity of natural resources and technology. So let's move to page 17. So we present to you the new framework, our strategy, which substitutes the 3 Ds and 3 Rs, which is now tech, transformation, excellence, and community. Let's move to page 18. What do we mean by transformation? We mean basically at the same time growing and strengthening the business and change the business into the transition phase. As far as the E is concerned, page 19, we are working towards a more and more agile organization and leader in operational excellence. Page 20, C is for community, which is basically the result of the attention we will be paying in our strategy in the company. So attract and empower people and outside the company by engaging external ecosystems. Thinking about universities, startups, and so on. We'll see that later on in the presentation. So all in all, the new strategic framework is in page 21, transformation, excellence, and community, globally fed into the sustainability program. So let's move on. Go to page 23. So let's dig out a little bit more what we mean by transformation. So generation, more flexible and greener. The market more solutions to customers. So we have enlarged the scope of our BU taking care of customers, the new BU. Waste from value from end to beginning. And last but not least, networks. So you will see more investments on technology and digital to make the networks smarter and more reliable. So let's go to generation. We have a couple of pages for each BU. Generation is an additional page to explain a little bit more in detail our strategy in the renewables. So page 24, what are the three key actions we want to take on generation? First of all, expand our renewable platform and go on the reconversion of the conventional plants. So we have targeted 117 megawatts of new renewables, which is a mixture of M&A activity and developments, greenfield development in the plan. As far as reconversion, we still carrying on developments at Brindisi, San Filippo, and Monfalcone. Leadership in gas-fired generation. We will be increasing the dispatched energy from CCGT by 800 megawatts versus the existing fleet in 2017. This is due to the restart of the third unit of the Sermide and 100% running of Scandale, and which are both 400 megawatt plants. And then on the LNG, we do believe that there will be increasing opportunities coming from LNG. Will make possible more improvements on the short and long-term mix of our portfolio. As a result of this activity, we will have a mix of market and GP and MSC and capacity more balanced going forward in the plan. Following page 25, to give you more details regarding the rationale for new renewables growth. First of all, realign our strategy of generation mix with EU market trends and Italian energy strategy. And that will help also to accelerate the company fully liberal decarbonization that will happen in 2025. We of course want to play a role, an industrial role in this field by exploiting potential synergies in dispatching with our thermal and hydro portfolio, improving and increasing economy of scale in operating efficiency, O&M, security, service quality, and corporate and back office cost reductions. Well, our platform to position A2A in the new scenario will be both on the utility scale plans and also on the B2B and B2C targets. You find on the right side of the slide the proportions. So we are starting from a portfolio today of about 50 megawatts, if you include the latest acquisition of Impact, closed in Q1 2018, and we're targeting an additional 150 megawatt of global of installed capacity as a combination of secondary market and new build capacity. So globally, we'll be spending 100 million euros in renewables, and we do see also potential further developments in the future coming from this opportunity. Of course, the impact of the EBITDA of the renewables is very limited. 2017 is practically speaking 2 million euros. It will be 20 million euros. The existing assets regime, and going forward it will be bigger. If you go to page 26, you have the key assumptions and targets for generations. On the left side of the presentation, you will find our new scenario. It's quite slightly more conservative, which will end at a level of price PUN of 48 euro per megawatt hour, and 2 euro per megawatt hour in terms of clean spark spread. Of course, the peak spark spread will be more in the region of 8 euro per megawatt hour at the end of the plan. So it's quite conservative. In terms of load factors, we're slightly improving all factor up to 20%. At the end of the plan, the regulated contribution will be almost 25%, as you see in the graphic on the left side of the slide. And renewables will account for 45% of the entire contribution margin. EBITDA evolution, green certificates, we will be progressively losing our green certificates and San Filippo del Mela, gradually over the plan. Renewables will be up by 57%. As I said earlier, 20 are coming from existing plants, the rest will be coming from new plants. On the capacity market, we are reviewing our hypothesis compared to the last business plan. So initially, in our latest business plan was in the region of 88 million euros. Today we are basically going around 68 million euros. So we are down basically 20 million euros. This is the result of what's emerging according to our analysis in terms of potential organization of the capacity market. So we do see a decrease of basically 1,000 euro per megawatt compared to our previous target of 20,000. So globally, we are reviewing down our capacity market contribution in our existing plan. And in the rest, the 61 million, we are basically coming from a decrease of our CGT over the plan component and a normalization of the gas margins. So we do have over the plan a quite stable MSD component, except of course which accepts exceptional events, potential upsides in the regulated businesses, and a CGT fleet still competitive on the MSD, of course on a smaller amount and size. Cash conversion of generation will be over the plan very attractive, so will be in excess of 60%. BU market, page 27. This is the new BU. So the new BU, which is actually changing the scope and including new activities in value-added services, energy savings, energy advisory. We will go in the plan with more services on flexibility, storage, and distributed energy resources. We also will be also the occasion in the next years to spend more on the digitalization of the company, especially through the development of the new CRM. During the plan, we will still retain excellent operation activity. Our cost to serve will remain pretty much flat over the plan. Among the other activities, so we will triple our EPC contract on energy efficiency, 150,000 lights, additional lights managed in public lighting, and we will also deploy a small but key new charging station network in the key areas and the key cities where we already are present. Of the fiber network, we will build almost 2,000 new kilometers of optic fibers in the areas we run. Page 28. So we go look at the assumptions and targets. Free market. We are taking a view of the full market liberalization in 2022. So we expect globally total customer base stable, but a full free market customer base of 2.3 million of clients in 2022. On lighting and charging, we already have commented. On the numbers, on the right side of the slide, the EBITDA evolution, if you look at the electricity and gas free market, the vast majority of the EBITDA evolution is coming from the full liberalization of the power and gas market in the next 5 years. Of course, we will have to increase our cost to acquire. We're also projecting a slight reduction in margins year-on-year to face the competition in the market. On the new energy solutions, we are targeting 25 million euros. This is the result of the investment the services in energy efficiency, in the public lighting and smart city. Waste, page 29. There's a strong emphasis on treatment plants building. We are progressing every month. We are targeting 12 new plants in the next 5 years. We are progressing in each of these plants. The big chunk of it already been authorized, or just very close to be authorized. We'll be inaugurating the first plastic plants in the end of this year, and the second at the beginning of 2019. So everything is progressing as we have imagined. We'll continue also to enlarge our geographic presence, especially on the activity of waste collection. Numbers, page 30. So we are targeting to increase our total waste treated in A2A plants by 1.1 million of tons. This is 0.8 due to the new plants. The 4 plants are in organic treatment, the 2 plants in plastic, and there are going to be also new plants for the treatment of flue and for the treatment of the ashes. So, and the rest, basically 0.3, are coming from strengthening and optimization of the existing plants, in particular the plants in Parona and in Milan. Inhabitant sales up 11%. We'll be still focusing in the areas in the northern part of Italy. So if we look at the EBITDA evolution, new plants accounts for 70 million euros, that's one, and the rest is coming from efficiency, most efficiency in our existing WTs, and also some efficiencies on the waste collection. So we are ready. Though in the plan we'll still be focusing on the north part of Italy, also to become a nationwide player. The project and the strategy of the waste is fully in line with the EU circular economy, but also the trends in the Italian industry. The M&A deals we are also dealing. We are in the pipeline and not included as all the other M&A deals in the plan. If you go to the networks, on page 31, there's an emphasis basically on 2 main areas: the rollout of the new smart meters in gas, electricity, water, and the completion of the digital asset management platform. I think the company is maybe the only company in the country to run gas and electricity today as a single business, as a single process. Smart grids, we have 2 new primary stations to build, 20 new water treatment stations. We are targeting a decrease by 40% of water losses. On gas tenders, we are targeting the plan an increase by 10% of the point of deliveries, but at the same time a decrease by 50% of item, which basically means that we'll be concentrating in half the number of items today we are concentrating in. On page 32, this is the results in terms of evolution of RAB, gas and electricity, will go up above 2.1 billion of euros. On point of delivery gas, this is what I said earlier. So we are basically halving the numbers of atom. So we're pursuing a scale optimization. We will be present in 15 atom at the end of the GLAM, but with the number of pod of 1.71 million of pods. We'll be spending for this expansion roughly 260 million euros of capex. District heatings, extension, commercial extensions, 150,000 clients in the areas that we serve. So, in summary, we have an organic growth capex to strengthen the RAB, steady development on district heatings, and strong and new tech drive to manage una reti. Page 33. So just a slide to underline the uniqueness of A2A. Strong ties between the various views, that constantly working together and in all the value chains, at the same time in investments on digitalization, innovation, in relation between the units. Second, an execution capability, proven ability to execute in CAPEX and growth, organic and inorganic growth. At the same time, the possibility to replicate successful models, aggregation, like LGH, plant utilization, and photovoltaic, just as a matter of example. Last, the company is certainly a unique urban system integrator in terms of presence in large cities in the north of Italy. At the same time, capacity to leverage on the multi-level infrastructure presence in those areas. Let's move to the E now, the second pillar of our strategy, excellence. You find on page 35 the recap of all the projects we have in place. You know, the Enea projects is almost now mature. We have secured a big portion of the targeted savings, 60%. We're now, as I said earlier, at 130 million euros of cost cuttings in 2017 compared to the cost base in 2014. We have launched the new project MIFA. That's a project focused on operational excellence. We'll make it start. We'll deliver additional value in terms of cost savings, though the main focus of the MIFA is to improve the operating efficiency of the company. Page 36, on digital. So generation, we'll spend 11 million euros on digital and 43 on tech innovation. So the same numbers apply on the others views. So I can only underline the fact that we'll be spending almost 1 billion of euros of community capex on digital and innovation on specific projects to deliver performance in the company. Last pillar, C, community. What do we mean by that? Basically, it's the sum of two axes of the strategy of the company, people in the company, page 38. There's a lot of programs involving 2,000 people in the company in terms of managerial upgrading and development. And in page 39, the attention the company will be having on the external ecosystems. So we are ready now, finally, to launch a new project we call Innova A2A. It's a structured and organized way to deliver innovation in the company. So we'll be targeting 350 new ideas, innovation ideas per year, which hopefully will deliver in our hypothesis between 40 and 50 initiatives per year in terms of generated and practical innovation cases to apply to our existing business. So I'm thinking about blockchain for waste tracking or tracking of LoRaWAN, for development of sensors, drones, all that stuff. page 41 and 42. This is the recap of a complex 60 KPI goals that we have given the company has given itself in terms of sustainability. We can say that almost the entire company is devoted to develop plans and targets also on the side of sustainability, and 100% of executives today have an MBO dedicated also to sustainability. Financials. I ask Andrea to comment on the financials.
Good afternoon. Consistently with last year's presentation, you will find in the annexes all the major assumptions and more details on the drivers of the EBITDA that Valerio and myself right now are discussing. The total increase over the 5-year in the EBITDA recurring is 256 million for a 4% compounded growth rate, which compares quite exactly with the 5-year plan of last year. But we're clearly starting from a high base. 2017 was much better than we were expecting, and we also believe we have in this plan a better mix. I have to specify at the beginning that during this presentation and in these numbers specifically, we have not included any effect from the deal of the multi-utility that we are discussing and on which we will discuss later on. Once again, there are no numbers, neither at EBITDA nor net income or net debt included yet. Waste is the largest contributor to the growth, with 95 million. We have made no assumption on a change in the regulation framework, so we are in continuity vis-à-vis the existing scenario, of course, since no news are currently available to be embedded into the plan. The rationales underneath and the drivers versus last year's plan have not changed, but have been reinforced. 40 million roughly out of the 95 on the contribution margins comes from the existing plants, roughly split 50% from price effect, 2% increase year on year, which is pretty much in line with what we are experiencing starting a couple of years ago, and actually even strengthened in 2017. And 50% is volume effect out of refurbishment of our specifically two WT plan. One is Silla 2 in Milan, has been already done, and another one is a WTA we bought with LGH. 70 million are from the 12 new treatment plants, 60 of which were already included into the last year plan, and on which, as Valerio said, we have made very good progresses on the authorizations. And the remaining 10 millions are from actually the only M&A we have in the plan for a company which gets one plan and one will be developed organically, which is we are pretty close to finalize. And then we have 22 million roughly of increased cost, mostly personnel cost in the collection business. In the market, which is the largest second contributor with 90 million, as Valerio said, the market is a new BU, which includes the quote-unquote old retail and new businesses. 75 million out of the 92 are from the old retail business, and 25, of course, from the others. The single most important assumption is the overcoming of the regulated electric and gas market starting July 2019. The technical mechanism by which this overcoming, the switch, will be carried out has not been defined yet. We've made an assumption that more than 50% of our regulated customer base at the date will be switched to A2A, with the remaining part turn to our competitors, basically. Then we will recover over the following years the customers we have lost to competitors to come up, as Valerio just said, to 2.3 million, which is more or less the same customer base we have today. Among the other assumptions, we have not changed significantly from the assumptions we made last year. So just to refresh your mind, the unit margin on the mass market is expected to reduce roughly 3% year on year. We have a cost to acquire growing up 5% year on year, stable cost to serve, and a new selective refocusing on the B2B. We have provided sensitivity analysis. This is new versus last year. We have provided a couple of sensitivity analyses in the materials. We have provided two drivers of our retail business. 25 million, as I said, comes from other activities, among which smart cities and the optic fiber development, public lights, and value-added services. The networks, EBITDA is up 60 million, less than 60 million. Networks, the regulated assets contribute for 36 million. It's mostly review in tariffs for the public hydro networks. So this is something which has already been granted. And 20 million from the gas tenders, excluding Milan, of course. 20 million, which is 10 million below the assumptions we made last year. Okay, no, I'm just being told that we are also showing on the web the slides that you got in the assumptions with basically the same framework we used last year, discussing view per view. It's the back of what I'm saying, basically, the back of what I'm saying. On the networks, as I said, the gas tender, we have today in this bridge 20 million with 260 million of capex. Last year we got 30 million, 30. Clearly we have acknowledged that there are some delays in the gas tenders, and we have modified our assumptions accordingly. And 23 million are from the district heating, mostly out of commercial development in the Milan area and scenarios. On the generation, as you see, we are flattish, meaning that 2022 is expected to generate basically 350 million, same that we did in 2017. That is the slide in the annexes, page 70. Now, this 350 is basically, by and large, 300 million plus the development into the renewable. The 300 million, once again, is pretty much in line with the assumptions we made last year, and is based, of course, on the scenario that we have provided. You find all the details in the attachment as well, that we definitely not believe to be aggressive. Normalized hydro and coal production on the CCGT, Valerio just commented before myself. MSD plus capacity, a total amount pretty stable at around 160 million on the full year, a little bit less in 2018 as we will have not a full year of capacity. 160 million is the average of the past 3 years and 50% below the average of the past 2, which have been very strong on MSD, as you all know. The capacity by itself is assumed to be 68 million overall. And here, again, we have taken a bit more prudent assumption versus last year. We are also assuming a reducing contribution from gas optimization, which has been really exceptional in 2017. CV feed-in tariff down to 25 million starting 2019. You all know these numbers. The same with San Filippo del Mela, which is expected to terminate the contractual agreement in 2021. And 57 million is the contribution from the development in the renewable, 20 of which are associated to the photovoltaic parks that we have already bought. So there are 40 out of 57 that we still have to do with the 500 million of capex that we have put into the plan. If you turn now to the following page, which is 45, there is the waterfall to the net income. It's really nothing new. We will have more D&A because we will be investing more. They will reach roughly 480 million at the end of the period. On the net financial expenses, the cost of debt is expected to going down from 3.1, which was the cost of debt in 2017, to 2.1. This is by simply refinancing the expiring bond at the due date, and we have made the assumptions basically taking the forward, the implicit rates in the forward yield curves of today. So it's a pretty simple assumption, as well as the tax rate is expected to remain stable at around 32%. If you move to page 46, I think the capex is quite self-explanatory. We have clearly highlighted the effort on the renewable. They are a little bit front-ended. I mean, they don't split evenly over the 5 years, so we will invest it more during the first 3 years of the plan, and then today capex are expected to trace back a little bit over the past 2 years. Finally, page 47, the cash flow. We still are planning to be self-funding 100% of our development. The plan will free up 200 million of free cash flow after capex, the renewable clearly, as well as the dividends, which we will comment in a second. We clearly have outperformed 2017, generating more free cash flow than we were expecting. We have today what we believe a quite healthy debt coverage ratio, which is roughly below 2.7, and we are planning to use our free cash flow capacity to fuel our strategic step that we have discussed before. The capital structure is expected to further improve to around 2.2 of debt coverage. If we move to page 48, we are providing guidance on 2018, so this year. We are expecting our EBITDA between 1.15 1.18 billion of recurring EBITDA, to which we have to add between 20 and 30 million of positive non-recurring item. That is expected to generate 360 up to 390 million of net income. We will invest more than 600 million. This includes everything, also the efforts on the renewable, which by the way we have already done, and to generate from 0 to 100 million of free cash flow. So we believe this year we will be positive or close to 0. Page 49, the back to 2002 targets overall. We will therefore planning for an increase in the EBITDA of 15%. As I said at the beginning of my speech, we believe the quality of this EBITDA, which does not include several optionalities that Valerio was discussing a second is much stronger than was last year. CapEx will be increased once again. ROI, with all these CapEx, is not expected to improve, but remain stable, well above 10%. And as I said before, we will still deleverage, not as sharply as we were expecting last year, but still above 2%. 2 times, sorry. For the closing remarks now, I hand it over to Valerio once again.
Thank you, Andrea. So closing remarks, I start from page 61, dividend. So we have a couple of news to share with you here. The first one is that we'll be giving you full visibility of punctual dividend policy across the next 5 years. And the second news is actually that we will be committing, the company is committing to pay an increasing dividend by 5% minimum for 2020-2022. So I think I want to highlight this both position we took to provide better visibility, at the same time commitment to pay dividends and a minimum increase yearly over the plan. In page 52, as usual, we are presenting the list of the additional projects, what we call internally the pot in the company. Basically, it's a combination of new projects that we are listing in the list, and existing projects very close to final stage. So if you look on the upsides, we believe we're still upside by between 10 and 30 million euros on the excellence plan, on gas networks, further growth, on top of the existing growth present in the plan, geographical growth in environmental business. We believe that sooner or later will be the possibility for the company to be present in the rest of the country, as opposed to our concentration today in the northern part of Italy. And also new energy solutions that we think we can build on the existing plan of the newly created market view. On external growth, local aggregation, we'll see that in a minute. We have not included the multi-utility, northern multi-utility project, because though it's been fully approved by the towns, we have to wait for this April the 7th or the 8th, if I'm correct, for the approval from all the General Assembly. Will be approving finally the projects, aggregations and contributions, mergers, etc. On acquisitions, on renewables and distributed energy resources. We also estimate potential upside to 20-40 million euros, and so on flexibility, on energy efficiency, public lighting, and on the third portion, the third part of the slide, further development abroad, extra investments for the electric networks, generation plant reconversions. We do have solutions that we are starting to improve the plant conversions. Still the heat transportation backbone, Camerano, Milano, and we also have in a range of between 5 and 15 million of additional euros that may come from the deployment of peak technology development. I'm talking about gas technologies here. Okay, gas technologies to run more efficiently peak flexibility provision to the grid. Page 53, that's a snapshot on the northern Lombardy multi-utility. As I said, this is almost closed. So the shareholders, the final shareholders have already approved it. I'm talking about the towns, the 5 towns underlying the five participating company. The EBITDA of the company is in the region of 78 million euros. So we believe that final merger approval by the Assembly will be realized within April the 10th. And then, of course, the effects of the merge and the contribution will be fully in place if everything goes as we expect, July the 1st this year. Okay, final slide. So the key takeaways, very important from our side, and we believe that the strategy we're presenting and the business plan is aligned with all the major strategic trends in our industry. So we are fully in line with what we believe are the key trends of the industry. Second, A2A is uniquely positioned to exploit the business interactions between the views and the natural hedging, which is a uniqueness of A2A. The fourth point, which is extremely important from our perspective, we have stronger, I should say, confidence to deliver higher quality results over the plan. Because if you look at this plan compared to the previous plans, we have a number of elements which look today clearly more predictable, or more locked in. I'm thinking about the authorizations, for example, for the waste treatment plant. I'm thinking about the exit from Montenegro. We have a big portion of our upside in the past was linked to Montenegro. Is out, so we have recovered that. We have other plans and other business underlying the new growth. And last but not least, we're improving our cost of funding over the plan. So globally, we believe that this plan has a even stronger degree of confidence in the deliverability and quality and predictability of results. Last point, there are still potentials and upsides, as I explained a couple of slides ago, including the local aggregation. So we are working on further local aggregation. Of course, as always, I say this is a complex process, but we believe we have demonstrated that it's doable. Last but not least, we have more higher visibility and commitments on dividends. So the combination of all these elements, according to us, make the strategic plan extremely attractive. So thank you very much. I hand over to...
Hello, now it's a Q&A session. Please go ahead with your questions. You can also send your questions via web.
Excuse me, this is the Chorus Call conference operator. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and one on their touch-tone telephone. To remove yourself from the question queue, please press star and two. Please pick up the receiver when asking questions. Anyone who has a question may press star and one at this time. The first question comes from Javier Suarez with Mediobanca. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for taking my questions. I have three. The first one is regarding the guidance for 2018 in the slide number 48. You are mentioning a target that goes between 115 to 118 billion euros plus 20 to 30 million euros of not recurring. Can you clarify to what that is corresponding to? And if you are finally including that 20 to 30 million euros, the net income target should also grow correspondingly. Therefore, that the target of 360 to 390 million euros does not include that 20 to 30 million euros of non-recurrent items. That is the question number one. Second question is on the previous slide, the slide number 47, and on the cash flow statement. Doing my numbers, I do see that the company has a free cash flow generation in excess of 100 million euros. So I can see this decrease from 3.2 billion euros to 2.5 billion euros through the period. I think that is consistent. But in the slide, you are putting 0.5 billion euros of change in perimeter, the effect of changing in perimeter. I guess that is the effect of acquisition of renewables energies. I just wanted you to clarify that you are putting into the debt target this negative contribution from the acquisition of renewables energies, but you are not including the benefit of those acquisitions through a P&L through the length of the business plan. And then the third question is on the generation business. I think it's in the slide number 26. You have been basically detailing your new assumption. Can you share with us and clarify again which is your new assumption in terms of the contribution from the new capacity market and the contribution of the MSD market through the length of the business plan? Many thanks.
Yeah. So it's Andrea speaking. I will answer to your first two questions on the guidance. Out of the non-recurring, the positive non-recurring clearly has to be added to the 115, 120. So 118, excuse me. So today our forecast in the best possible scenario, the maximum is 1.18 plus 30, okay, for a total EBITDA of 1.21, and the worst case, if I may say so, is 115 plus 20, okay, or any combination in between. The 390 million of net income clearly includes the non-recurring, okay? We starting from the EBITDA together with all the other assumptions below the EBITDA. So once again, it's a range of different possible combinations of the various addendum, if I may say so. Moving to the second question on the cash flow, the answer is yes. We do have included into the change in perimeter this 500 million, the 500 million, the more of let's call them investments, whether it is price paid at closing or debt taken over, so enterprise value, if you want to put it in a different way, of 100% of the development into the renewable. So the 200 million of free cash flow is after the investment into the renewable, which are included into the cash flow. And of course, consistently, we do have included into the P&L the EBITDA for a total amount of roughly 40 million, 40, because 15 million, 17 million of EBITDA from the non-renewable are from the acquisitions we have already done as of today. So the 500 million of CapEx are assumed to generate 40 million of additional EBITDA. I don't know if I have...
So I take over this, Javier, just to add a couple of more information. So what we're saying is that if you go to page 26, okay, and you find under the script RS, renewables, 57 million euros of additional EBITDA. Okay, out of those 557 million, okay, 33 will be coming from the activity that will be developing through M&A on the unit plan, and 6 from greenfield. So this is what we are expecting to do. As I was saying, Andrea, so 40 million will be basically done during the plan. The rest is already locked in. It's coming from the 3 acquisitions we have made in 2017 and 2018. So Impact, Standardini, and Nova Power. So globally, 57 is the global contribution coming from the renewable. Then, if we go back to page 26, okay, to go back to your point regarding the capacity market. So what we are expecting in a normal year, so starting from 2019, and a contribution from the capacity market of 68 million euros. Okay, right? 68 million euros. In 2018, so the current year, we are expecting 40 million euros from the capacity market. Now, if you look at this 68 million euros, you need to compare the 68 with the old 88, which was in the last plan. So in the last plan, we were projecting a capacity market contribution in the region of 88. This is why I said before we are more conservative now. We are projecting a stream of roughly 68 million euros of capacity market per year from 2019 to 2022. So that's pretty much what we expect in terms of remuneration. In terms of average remuneration per megawatt, that gives something in the region of 19,000 euro per megawatt. Of course, megawatt can be identified and eligible for capacity market. So that's pretty much about the capacity market. Ancillary services. Yes, I think you also asked the dynamics of the ancillary services in the plan.
Exactly.
So, as you know, we have done almost 160 million euros of ancillary services in 2016. Yes, in 16, 193 in 2017. So over the plan, we are expecting something in the region of 100 million euros, in particular 100 million euros in 18 and 19, and then 93 in the region of 93 from 22 to 21 to 2020. So basically, we're talking about something between 90 and 100 million euros of ancillary services in the next 5 years. So globally, as I said before, the generation stream of revenues in the new plan become more predictable if you look at the capacity component and the renewable component. So globally, the generation division is becoming more and more predictable and more stable in terms of volatility. Did we get? Please?
Yeah, and for the sake of completeness, and in terms of the green certificate, what you are assuming in 2018 and then 19 and 20?
Okay. So in 2018, we are expecting a sale-off of 63 million euros of green certificates and a component of 40 million euros of feed-in tariff. So globally, the environmental contribution will be roughly 100 million euros in 2018. Then, of course, we will be running out of green certificates, so for the rest of the plan will be zero, and for the feed-in tariff, we're expecting something in the region of 25 million euros flat for the rest of the years.
Okay. Very clear. Many thanks.
The next question comes from Enrico Bartoli with MainFirst. Please go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for taking my question. A few on my side. I'd like to start with the markets business. You mentioned that actually you expect your customer base to remain flat over the plan period. I was wondering, considering that Enel stated very clearly, they want to reduce the market share in regulated customers, if you think that there would be an opportunity actually in your territory to increase the market share, the number of customers, considering that a big player will be forced to reduce the numbers. And if you can also elaborate a bit more on the assumption on margins. If I understand well, you expect an increase in the unit margins due to moving customers from regulated to the free market, but you expect to be offset by an increase in the cost to serve the customers. If you can elaborate a bit more on this, and if this interpretation by myself is correct. Then I have a question regarding the guidance for 18. Sorry again. Could you actually elaborate what are the assumptions, the drivers of the slight increase that you expect on adjusted basis in EBITDA, and particularly on the outlook for the power generation business for this year. Some details, if possible, on the assumption on hydro generation, considering that due to the snowfalls, whatever, probably in the second half of the year, hydro volumes are likely to ramp up. And if you can give us the amount of volumes that you have already sold and possibly the hedging price. Then I have a last question is in general on M&A. If you think that in addition to the transaction that is very likely to be closed over the next months, you have additional opportunities in terms of M&A, or you think that after AGH and this transaction, most of your potential will be over? Thank you.
Okay, so Enrico, I go on the first line with the market. I mean, so let me clarify a little bit what we are envisaging here. The underlying assumption, the strategy is that we'll try to move customers from the regulated business to the free market. So when we say stable customer base, of course we imply that there will be a strong conversion between the regulated market, the regulated customers towards the free market. So we have, for example, just to provide you a number, we have in mind that the switch rate may be in the region of 60%. So 60% or more of the existing customers on the regulated side, we expect will be switching into the new free market pot. So when we say that there's going to be a total customer base stable, we mean that we imply that there's a strong effort to move clients towards the free market. And of course, to remain with the final number stable, we need also to capture clients on the free market from somebody else. Because of course, if the switch rate we have in mind from regulated to free to 60% or 65 or whatever, the rest will be coming from the residual market in Lombardy. So the effort is to move customers inside, from regulated to free, to capture customers from the free.
Ladies and gentlemen, please hold the line. The connection with the moderator has been lost. The conference will resume shortly. Thank you.
Hello? Enrico, did you hear me?
Yes, now yes.
Sorry, we got cut off. So I was saying basically as a result of this strategy, we will have a fully regulated, fully free market margin in 2022. So the 107 million euros of increase of margin in 2022 is actually coming basically 50 million euros is coming from power market and 50 is coming from gas market, roughly speaking. So yes, I mean this is the result of the increase of margin as a result of customer conversion and customer acquisition in other areas. Then the underlying assumption I mentioned before were that on the rest, on the existing client, we are expecting a 2% decrease in margin, unitary margin year on year as a result of the competition. And on cost to acquire, we are expecting a 5% increase year-on-year on cost to acquire as a result of the two elements. I mean, we have commented on basically new clients, increasing cost of channels that was acquired clients. So globally, this is the view on the new market division. On the M&A, so I go to your fourth questions. No, I think we believe that there could be additional opportunities. There could be additional opportunity, a couple of which not far away from the size and the dimension of Multitude del Nord. And of course, there are other smaller, relatively smaller acquisitions that may be targeted. We believe that with the closing of the Multitude del Nord M&A, there will be some magnetic attraction, quote unquote, from the small municipalities that find themselves, practically speaking, out of their territories, because there will be no ties with the existing surrounding municipalities. So I think that the M&A pipeline will be quite active also in the coming months, in the coming years. So we'll continue to work on that, and we are confident that we can deliver gain on the M&A deals on the aggregations. On the hedge ratio, we have for 2018 48% of the production hedged at the average price of 51 euro per megawatt hour. On 2019, we have an hedge ratio of 8%, with an average price of 46.7, so almost 47 of the hedged capacity. So before, generally speaking, generation looks in 2018 quite in line with a normal year. So we believe that there are different combinations of events. We do expect, of course, winter is not closed, it's not finished yet, so we cannot comment a lot on the hydro potentials in the year. Of course, it looks much better, hydraulic year versus 2017. It is quite close to what we call a normal year of the hydraulicity. But of course, if we continue to have snow and rain, we may, slightly increase that component. Of course, a more hydraulic system may have structurally some pressure, may put some pressure on prices. So we will benefit on the volumes on the hydroelectric, but potentially we could less than benefit on the CCGT side. Though we confirm that the CCGT in 2017 will be matching, at higher than 2017, basically. Then, in terms of the projection of results, 2018.
On the generation data collection. Okay, sorry.
But, I think Andrea wants to add something.
No, the expectations are not far away, as Valerio said, from 2017, something around 330, 340 million. Apart from the production level that Valerio just mentioned, we have provided you with all the spreads and assumptions on the base load and peak load. We have made an assumption of half a year capacity market, so a total amount of roughly 40 million, which is half year in the existing regime and half year of the new capacity market, and a total amount from the ancillary services of around 100 million. So capacity plus ancillary services, total amount 140, roughly. Green certificates between 100 million, we mentioned before. 17 million of renewable, we said before. San Filippo is heading a little bit down according to the schedule regime that we have agreed with Terna. And last but not least, we made 40 million out of gas optimization in 2017. Certainly, we are planning a much lower amount this year. Basically, we will be halving that amount so far. Okay, this is our best estimate so far. And with all these drivers, it should come up, if you run your model, not far away to 330, 340 million.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The next question comes from Stefano Gamberini with Equita. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. A few questions also from my side. The first, slide 28, when you forecast this increase of around 100 million euros in the market division, what could be this growth excluding or postponing the liberalization of the market after 2022, if this could happen, or probably you already put this figure in the sensitivity, but just if you could comment on that. The second question regarding the slide number 30, 71 million euros of EBITDA from new plants. You have 12 plants that should come on stream during the business plan. Could you give us an idea where is the authorization process? How many authorizations you already have or are close to arrive in the forthcoming months, we can say, or by 2018, in order to have the visibility on this 17 million euros growth? The other two things are related to the slide at page 47. Just to understand a little bit better, what is the amount of investment you will do? 2.8 billion euros plus 500 million euros of changing parameters means 3.3 billion euros in the period. And if you can clarify a little bit better of this total amount, what is the level invested in your projection for renewables? So what I mean is this 57 million euros EBITDA from renewables, what is the total amount considering both the capex and this changing parameters and net debt? Last thing, if I may, the 7.5 cents of dividend for 19, is this a commitment and base for the 5% growth in following years, or still just a projection? Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, please hold the line. The connection with the moderator has been lost. The conference will resume shortly. Thank you. Okay, your line is open.
Stefano, you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, we were cut off again.
Yeah.
This is the, I guess it's linked with the Elliott takeover of Camerano. Okay, so now, so on your point regarding the market liberalization, as I said before, out of the 100 million euros coming from the free market liberalization, 50 are coming from gas market, so they are not linked to the market liberalization process on the electricity. Okay, so this is something that which is irrespective of. Okay, it's in the gas market we will go on its trends. There's no linkage with the end of tutela markets. The other 50%, so 50 million euros roughly, are coming from the power market. Yes, this is also linked to what will happen, in our view, regarding the market liberalization from 2019 on. It's very difficult to answer your question because we will go and switch the clients anyway, whatever it happens in the liberalization market or not. But clearly, the shape of the full market liberalization in 2017, depending on that shape, it may accelerate it. So it's very difficult to say what can be the market in 2019 if the end of the maggior tutela market will be different. But certainly what we can say is that our project and our objective and our strategy to push the market to clients in the free market will be there anyway. So we commit to that anyway. On the second question regarding the authorization process for the waste treatment plants, it's very well ahead. We say that we have 12 plants in our plans, in our business plan. 3 out of them are already authorized. 5 are very close to be authorized. We expect in the next 6/10 months. And then we have the other 4. One is it doesn't need an authorization, so it's a tender process. 2 of them are linked to an M&A deals. Only one is still to be required, the authorization, but we are extremely confident that it will be given because it's a project that improve significantly the environmental impact of the region. So, all in all, more than 70% of the authorization are already obtained or very close to be obtained in the next 6 months. So this is why we believe that we are very confident to deliver on the waste treatment plants development. On your question on CAPEX RES, I'm not sure I got precisely what was your request, but clearly our total CAPEX will be the sum of the two. So 0.5 million will be dedicated entirely to renewables, and the rest, which is 2.7, will be for the rest of the other 4 BUs, including the generation itself, conventional. So total CAPEX are the sum of the two, and the EBITDA effects are included in the plan entirely. So the view that you have on CAPEX is our our complete view. In terms of dividends, we are projecting the dividend flow, so which means that according to our numbers today, we are confident to be delivering in 2018 and 2019 the dividends that you find in page 51. Then, beyond the date, we are committing to increase on a yearly basis minimum 5%, which means basically that if you want to make your math, you simply add 5%, minimum 5% to 7.5, which is 2019, and you go exactly to the final point that we're expecting for the end of the plan, which, if I correctly remember, is in the region of 9.1, 9.2. So, yes, we are committing to increase by 5% on a yearly basis, minimum, the dividend for 2020 on.
If I may, a quick follow-up, I try to change the question. What is the harder return on the renewables that you expect from these acquisitions and investments that you will do in the sector for these 500, 600 million euros, if I understood correctly?
Well, clearly, we are in the market, so we cannot disclose, precisely what is our targeted IRR. certainly will be above the regulated return that we already have on our assets.
Okay, many thanks.
The next question comes from Antonella Bianchessi with Citi. Please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. Just a quick question on the supply business. It seems to me that you're targeting the lower number of customers compared to the previous plan, but the margins are much higher. Can you elaborate on why you're expecting the profitability to improve? Also, your competitors, for instance, analysts, assuming that supply margins in their business plan are flat, you're seeing a 50% increase. What makes A2A different compared to the other player? Also on the supply, I think I understood you mentioned that you expect the customer to decline in the first place and then to recover post-2019. How should the EBITDA move? Should we expect the growth to be backloaded towards 2021, 22, or we should assume a kind of a average growth? The second question is on the capacity market. Can you elaborate on why you're now more cautious? Do you see any dynamic in the market that makes you less confident about the need of a new capacity payments, and so on and so forth? And then just a quick question on 2018. If your EBITDA is slightly down, but your generation EBITDA seems pretty similar, can you elaborate on which division you expect are going to be weaker in 2018, or if it's just that you're a little bit cautious? And final question, which is the allowed return that you're assuming for your networks post-2019? Thank you.
Okay. So on the supply business, I'm not sure I got exactly what is the rationale of your question. I mean, but let me recap a little bit the strategy of the company. We have on the existing customer base decreasing unitary margin. So when I use the word decrease, I mean that since we are in a competitive scenario, it's fair to assume that the existing customers, you need to protect and defend your customers. So you deploy more investments to keep the customers in your portfolio and to defend your customers, so you deploy more investments to retain them. Okay, this is why globally we think it's fair, absolutely fair, to imagine a gradual decrease in the margins, unitary margins in the existing customers. A second question is regarding the customers that switch from regulated business to free market. Clearly, those customers are going to almost double, their margins, their unitary margin, because as we know very, very well, the clients on the regulated market have a quite less, lower margin than customers on the liberalized market. So, just to give you an example, we already have in the free market almost 500,000 clients on the electricity, and those clients basically were on the regulated market before. And today we know, and based on the experience, on the real numbers, that the customers on the free market have an embedded margin which is almost double than the margins in the regulated business. So what we are simply assuming is the sum of these two trends. On the existing customers, there is a decrease in margins, year on year, and on the customers that we are switching, for example, on the electricity, we are projecting to reach almost, again, 500,000 clients in the next years. We will have an embedded margins, which is almost double than the existing margin in the regulated market. So it's no strange, things are this is pretty simple. I mean, this is the normal dynamics of the supply market. Everybody in the market that is switching from regulated is implying a surge in the margins in the free market. So nothing new. It's already what is being happening in the last 3 years. We are simply projecting in the next 5 years on the basis of the switch rate that we have demonstrated to be able to deliver. So there's nothing, no magic, regarding this business.
Yeah, but there are 60 million more of EBITDA. Can you elaborate on that? What has changed?
Yes.
Antonella, I will try to rephrase in this way. In 2018, before the switch to the free market, we will, let me say, perform as usual, with the usual 150. Last year, 2017, we switched 190,000 customers from the free market. The vast majority of them switching from A2A regulated to A2A free market. This is what we will do in 2018. By doing that, the unit margin on the single customer, basically, they will switch from the regulated to the free market double. Okay, this is the first level of growth into the EBIT margin. Then, at a certain point in time, which is June the 30th, 2019, we will have a certain amount of remaining regulated customers, okay, on our customer base. This number is assumed to be in our plan roughly 1.3 million, okay, between air and gas, all together, to make it simple. Okay. At this point in time, we have to make assumption on how many out of this number we will be able to convince to switch to A2A versus those that will go to competitors. We have made the assumptions of roughly 2/3 of this customer base to decide to stay with A2A. Once again, by the time that they switch from the regulated to the free market, we will have a hit on the profitability on the single customer and accordingly overall. So you have to imagine a development of EBITDA which grows a little bit, let me say, quote unquote, normally in 2019, and then, a higher peak in 2019 because of the deregulation. Then we will lose a certain number of customers to the competitors. Okay, then we will have to enter into a win-back, taking these competitors from the free market, first and foremost, those who sit in Lombardy, basically. Okay. And this is basically where the EBITDA comes from getting, enlarging the customer base on the free market, because on the free market the margins are high, the unit margin. Then, when you take apart the volume effect, so a higher number of customers on the free market, then on the free market scenario, the unit margins, the average unit margin per single customer is expecting to go down 3% year on year on the raw material. So the EBITDA overall will decrease because the unit margins will go down, and will increase because the number of customers on the free market will grow. I don't know if I've been able to explain the dynamics.
And also, I want to add, Antonella, very brief, something that needs to be underlined, because I mentioned in my presentation, and maybe it was not stressed enough. The new BU market has enlarged significantly its perimeter. So if you are comparing last plan where the BU market had a targeted EBITDA of 192, okay, you cannot compare with the newly business unit with the targeted objective of 220 or 265, because in the 65 you also have roughly 60 million of euros that are coming from the new activity that has been moved within the company. For example, there are 60 million of euros on energy efficiency, 20 million on public lighting that previously were in the networks, and also smart cities for almost 16 million of euros. So when you compare the business unit market in the last plan and you compare the business unit market in this plan, you need to take into account that there is a significant change in perimeter as a result of the enlargement of the scope of the activity of the BU. So 60 millions are not coming from the dynamics we have just mentioned, but that's simply coming from the new business that has been either cut out from other BUs and transferred to this BU, or the growth of this business itself. Then, if we can go on your other questions on capacity, why we are cautious. Well, we're not cautious. I mean, in reality, we are simply adjusting our view to the current market information that we have. What are the new information that we have had compared to last year? First of all, the new mechanism as a zonal, tender process versus last year. So it's a zonal tender activity, so which we have simulated in a different way. The second element we have taken into consideration to reassess the capacity is the derating. There is not the entire capacity can be submitted for capacity market, but there are clear ingredients to make the capacity eligible, which the authority and the minister have only recently presented. So we have basically reduced the amount of capacity that is eligible. Then, so on the basis of these 2 or 3 elements, new elements in the capacity, we have rerun our model and come up with a targeted amount which is not longer 20,000 euro per megawatt, but 19,000. That applied to the eligible capacity provides us a total pool of capacity of 68 million euros versus the 88 of last year. But having said that, we are assuming a cap at 20,000 euro per megawatt, and the recent talks with the Ministry of the Authority are pointing to something which is more in the region of 25/35. So that may leave room for upside. And then, of course, there is also a variable which may provide still room for upside, which is the estimation of demand from Terna, which could be higher than we expect. So prudently, we have revised down our capacity assumption, but we still have a couple of elements that may provide room for the capacity to be better than we expect. Having said that, we are prepared to be more prudent and identify, a capacity pool is slightly lower than last year. And then in 2018, I didn't quite understood your question. I mean, 2018 it's not down.
It's not down.
2018 is in line with 2017. So there is no big differences. I mean, if you sum the recurring and the projected EBITDA, you come up with something which is very close to 1.2 billion of euros of EBITDA, which is exactly what we have just approved for 2017.
Or if you take the lower range, clearly is below the 1.2 billion that we are reporting today, but we have basically 30 million of non-recurring versus 60 million this year. We just commenting on generation, we are expecting 330 rather than, or 330, 340 versus the 354 that we have accounted this year. So if you stay on the low side, the non-recurring and generation basically mostly explain the difference, and if you put on the upper side, we are pretty much aligned. I take the chance to answer your last question on the networks. If your question is if we are assuming a change in the regulation or the regulations components, the answer is no. We clearly plan in continuity of existing regulation with the WACC that are currently existing. I mean, electricity 5.6 and gas 6.1, and WACC does not exist on the hydro networks, but we have got recognition of an increase in tariffs of slightly above 8%, which are granted now.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The next question comes from Jose Ruiz with Macquarie. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon. Just two very quick questions. First of all, what is the rationale behind renewables? I mean, are you replacing the EBITDA from San Filippo del Mela by 21? I'm trying to understand why 170 megas and not more. Second question is about the new energy solutions. Are you going to sell it with the same existing sales representative, or are you creating a new division? Thank you.
Okay, on the rationale, RES, renewables, we are a generator, and we want to remain a generator, so we are aligning our strategy with the energy transition. There are potential in Italy for renewables up to 40,000 megawatts. So to get a bit of it, chunk of it, of course this is according to the Italian Energy National Strategy. So we want to take part to it. We need to have a platform to start from. So this is why we think this is we need to take part to this. Second, we have rooms to implement our strategy in all segments, on the B2B and the B2C, potentially on the renewables, on the distributed energy resources. So we believe that for a generator, there are very good opportunities on the secondary market in Italy, and potentially on the greenfield market in the coming years due to the grid parity dynamics. At the same time, we interpreted this role as an industrial player. So on dispatching, on O&M, on potential opportunities to operate, we believe that there are optimal opportunities for companies like A2A, for industrial players. Why 170? Of course, we could have go even bigger than that, but this is the result of a judgmental discussion regarding what are the feasible and visible opportunity going forward in the market in the next 2 years. We have a certain visibility. So we know, we believe we know what could be the potential targets on sale. Applying our percentage of success, we've come out with a number which we think it's challenging but achievable. Again, we're using the same approach. Of course, if opportunity come across of different sides, they will be analyzed from the company. This target, seems suitable according to the potential opportunity, practical opportunity in the market. On the second question regarding new energy solutions, the answer is yes and no, in the sense that we are structuring a new organization review, which will require to reinforce competence and people in the BU. So we have in the plan a consistent growth also of competence in networks channels to sell this products, because we believe that the degree of technical content of these products is quite high sometimes, especially on the energy efficiency, on the combination of storage and distributed energy. So we need to reinforce this competence. We need to structure a specific channel, sales channels, dedicated sales channels on the front.
Clear, very clear.
The next question is a follow-up from Javier Suarez, Mediobanca. Please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon again. It's Javier at Mediobanca. Two questions on consolidation. The first one is on Linea Group. If you can give us the contribution of Linea Group in 2017 and how that compared with the contribution in 2016. So I was just obviously without considering different months of consolidation, but on a comparable basis, I was wondering how A2A has been able to improve operationally the performance of Linea Group. And the second question is related to the first one, is on the consolidation in Northern Lombardy, the one that you are mentioning on the slide 33. Obviously, this is not included yet into the business plan, but I was wondering if you could give us an idea or a sense of what could be the enhancement that you expect to see on the EBITDA of this new utility as a consequence of your managerial improvement or skills. And then the third question is again going back into the slide 47 and the expansion of renewable energies. So if I understand this correctly, the company intends to invest a total invested capital of 500 million euros to get an EBITDA of 40 million euros. That means to pay something like 12 times enterprise value to EBITDA. Can you elaborate why do you think that is an appropriate strategy, that arguably you could have other opportunities that are less expensive than expanding on renewable energies at this stage? Why is that so important for A2A? Many thanks.
Okay. On multi-utility Nord, we are clearly, close, to the deal. And as you may imagine, the first step in the deal will be the definition of a new business plan. The definition of a new business plan, of course, will require the consensus of all the parties. So it's a little bit unfair from our side, to disclose to you the potential, targeted EBITDA at the end of this plan. But what I can tell you is that we feel very, very confident. We feel very confident that the aggregation may fly very well in terms of integration activity, in terms of industrial development, and also in terms of synergies. So we will be very close to disclose this. We'll be working on this in the next 2 or 3 months, and then show basically the outcome of this exercise only in the next month. So unfortunately, I cannot comment on that precisely, Jose, because we need to go through this process with the existing counterparties. So it will take more time to clarify that. In terms of the Linea Group, tomorrow the company will be presenting the data. So fortunately, I cannot again comment on that very precisely, but you just need to wait a day to get that number. I can only say that we feel comfortable, very comfortable with the results. We're very happy again with the results, which prove again that the strategy was correct, and that we basically have identified the right areas of synergies, but also what was extremely interesting from my side is the speediness which the company had in implementing the strategy, especially on the cost cutting, on the organization, on the investment process, on the procurement upside, on all that stuff. It was extremely positive from our side, the impact we as main shareholder were able to deliver. At the same time, the quickness of the process. So we are very confident that the LGH will continue to deliver as well in the plans. Tomorrow, we will get precisely the numbers from Linea Group. I cannot anticipate that. I'm sorry. The schedule for tomorrow.
Okay. On the renewable, the 511 million actually splits into two components. 430 roughly is the number that we have to associate to the 40 million EBITDA. So it's less than 11 times, okay, for the incremental 40 million. And the remaining amount, roughly 80, relates to the Impacts acquisition, which is in the plan, but actually has already been done. So whose EBITDA is already in the EBITDA that we have acquired. So the question is to come after your argument on the multiple, on the 40 out of 430 and not out of 550. And the reason why we are planning this multiple, clearly what we're buying are fully regulated stream of EBITDA, basically 90% of which turns into cash. And then, of course, this clearly is a plan. This is the number we have put into the plan, which not necessarily turns into the effective cash out when the deal is closed. We tend to be prudent when we plan. We believe we have been, let me say, omnicomprehensive in planning this acquisition as well.
Okay, but to go back to the point, Javier, I want to be clear on that. I think it's the renewable trend is a remarkable trend for generators. Financially, speaking, if we only look at the financial profile of the investment, we have extremely stable cash flows, and we have a cash conversion which is almost close to 100% of those investments. And normally they deliver an IRR which is above our regulated IRR, with the average life, which is even higher than our existing, for example, gas, RAB-based investments. So purely from a financial point of view, this is extremely, interesting investment from our side. In terms of upside, we do see a lot of industrial upsides. In these streams of investment, we do see future repowerings. So we are estimating for each of these plants potential repowerings, which provides additional value beyond the technical and incentive life of the fields. Okay? So all these plans have an interesting profile of upside in terms of future repowering in the existing plants and beyond the incentives framework. Second is the flexible, the ancillary services flexible provision to the system. We do see, all over in Europe and also in Italy, with the recent proposition from the authority, increasing role, and participation from renewables in provision of flexibility services in the systems. This is an increasing trend that will not be stoppable. Also in the form of a combination of storage and production in the future in the B2B and B2C market. And then, last but not least, we do see interesting operational synergies in O&M, on dispatching, on the finance deals. So globally, we see three elements which are pushing us to see more and more on this front. The alignment with the strategy of the European Union and Italian energy package, the financial consistency of the investment with the cash flow, the predictability, and the cash conversion of the company, also in IRR, and third, the upside coming from industrial management of the assets, in particular repowering, flexibility, and operating synergies. Javier?
That's fine. Many thanks.
Okay.
The next question is a follow-up from Enrico Bartoli with MainFirst. Please go ahead.
Yes, hi. Sorry, a few follow-up questions. First of all, on the gas distribution business, if you can provide us the assumption in terms of EBITDA contribution from the tender process, and if you can give us some hint on the timing that now you assume in the ramp-up of this contribution during the plan period. Second question relates to the district heating. Also in this case, can you elaborate a bit more on the project, where you are going to invest in order to supply some growth in EBITDA in this business? And a question on power generation, where you mentioned that you're planning to repower some plants. You mentioned Brindisi, Monfalcone, San Filippo. Also in this case, if you can give us a hint on what projects are there and the impact on the EBITDA of the plan in the last year. And very finally, you mentioned also the possibility to, I guess, optimize further your gas supply, in particular resourcing to energy sources. If you can give some comments on whether you took into account any impact from this in your targets, and what kind of opportunities that you can see from this kind of procurement. Thank you.
Okay, aside from this last question, Enrico, so on the LNG, we do see the opportunity coming from a more liquid market and more interactions with some of the counterparties we have in the market. But in the present numbers, we have not included any specific number related to this. Okay, so it's more on the upside side than on the factual numbers that we have. In terms of generation, where do we stand? On Monfalcone, we have a table open with the local authorities for the restructuring of the existing plant and the reconversion of the plant. And this is something which will be, it's agreed, will be done after 2025. So there is no impact so far in the plan. As far as San Filippo del Mela is concerned, you know that we have a new thermoelectric agreement with the authority on this, and this will stay up to the end of 2021. So basically, there is no change in the plans as of today. We except with the last part, the last year, but we don't have elements to believe that the situation of the balancing of the electrical system will be different in 2022. So on San Filippo del Mela and on Monfalcone, there are no impacts. On Brindisi, we are working at a reconversion project. We cannot disclose to you, unfortunately, yet what is the final project, because we are in discussion with some institutional counterparties, and so it is not disclosable at the moment, but we are very confident that the project in Brindisi can be realized, because it's a project that finds the interest of the authorities. At the same time, we are applying for an organic treatment plan in Monfalcone, in Brindisi, which is not included in the plan, but it's part of the potential upside that you can find in the additional project we have presented in the last pages of our presentation. So it's ongoing. You don't find the facts in the plan, but you find it's present in the list of the additional project in the previous spot. On the district heatings, basically we're targeting Milan expansion. So the area of expansion from our side is only Milan, and partially Bergamo, but mostly Milan, where we are basically targeting an expansion in the area which is closer, the closest area with the existing gas feeder of A2A. The degree of development of this growth, commercial growth, is entirely in our hands. As you know, there is no competition, no churn on this front. So it's basically linked to our capacity to deliver the investment and the capex as we are projecting. And we are pretty confident that we can do that. And by the way, the growth is in line with the growth of last year's. Gas tenders. The EBITDA linked to the gas tenders is 20 million euros globally, and it's deployed mostly 2020, 21, 22, pretty much equally. So we're talking about basically 6, 7, 7, roughly. So we do expect the tenders to be celebrated and finalized in 2020, 2021, 2022. So pretty much back-ended in our plan for an entire amount of 20 million euros globally.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
As a reminder, if you wish to register for a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone. Once again, if you wish to ask a question, please press star and 1 on your telephone. Gentlemen, there are no more questions registered at this time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much to everyone for your time and attention. Please call Investor Relations for any follow-up. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Goodbye.